Nicole, your screen is a little blurry.
Do you want me to stop sharing and do you want to share, Katie?
Yeah, sure. And I can probably still, let's see if mine's a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully that's a little better. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Katie. All right, our agenda today, we will have an introduction from our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Mark Lukey, and then we'll talk about math behaviors and how we use those in the classroom. We'll talk about the kindergarten key essential standards and how those are important for helping us plan. We'll talk about the kindergarten lesson design and the purpose, and Katie will model a lesson for you. Then we will look at our virtual learning website and we'll get to explore that. And again, if you just are joining us, you can go into the chat and get the link for this presentation.
Yes.
All right. All right, so today our Zoom norms, as always, are make sure you stay muted. Unless you have a question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know. You can use the chat. Be patient, be positive. We are all learning. And what you'll need to do today for us is grab a notebook or a blank piece of paper and something to write with to take some notes and interact with our presentation. All right, and Katie's gonna play that message from Mr. Lukey.
Can you hear it?
No.
You can't hear it? That means I probably forgot to press that special button that says share your sound. Sorry, friends. Okay.
Good morning and welcome to Summer Virtual Institute. I appreciate and thank all of you for joining us this week and willing to learn with us as we lean into a new year of learning with our students. This is not the instructional program that we had hoped to accomplish this year in terms of our students starting the year in a virtual format, but I believe that together we will build a strong instructional program to support the students of our district. So I want to speak a little bit about the importance of this week's learning with respect to our instructional program and emphasize a couple of key points for us before we start today. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the importance of understanding what the state is requiring of school districts this year, in that there are a set number of instructional minutes that we must adhere to. It is our goal that through the virtual nature of our instructional program over the first quarter, that we can rise above and beyond those minimum minutes, ensuring that our students receive ample in-person, to the best of our ability, instruction, meaning synchronous learning, where we are zooming in with our students online, supporting them, teaching them, equipping them with the skills to be successful in this virtual format. And then we are also balancing that with what we call asynchronous time, where we are assigning kids to complete assignments through many of our instructional tools and resources, while we as teachers and educators work in small groups with students who simply need more time with intervention. And so you are going to receive a lot of information from our instructional services support team. You are going to receive a lot of tools and resources to support you with the instructional design of our program for this year. Just know that we're in this together. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's work together to make the very best and strongest instructional program for our students. So once again, thank you very much. I look forward to learning with you this week, and I look forward to a successful school year. Thank you.
All right. So as Mr. Lukey said, in this session, we're really going to be talking about the tools that we can use in our classroom that were created by our work teams and get a chance to look at the website. But today, we still don't have the answers for you for things like school schedules or information regarding return to school procedures or teacher prep or contact time, or what's going to go on with our contracts. grading policies, Wi-Fi issues. But just remember that we are all in this together. Please make sure you are safe, patient, and kind as we are in this presentation. If you do have questions regarding any of these things or questions for our administrators, we do have a digital parking lot that you can click on the next slide, and you can click there and see that. Can you click that for us, Katie? Thank you. So right up here is the digital parking lot. Add any of those kind of questions there.
Yes.
All right. So we thank you all for being here today. We always like to start our presentations with the BCSD core priorities, our why we're here. We're here because we believe in a culture of collective efficacy so we can build our staff capacity. We believe in student-centered schools, putting our kids first. We believe in that culture of teaching and learning. So today we're going to look at content for mathematics and see how we can make that the best we can in a virtual format. And again, our last is a culture of access and inclusion. We have to make sure we are thinking about all students, the way we can differentiate and make learning best for all. All right, today our learning intention is that we're going to understand the design, components, and purpose for mathematics learning that includes a balanced approach, utilizing the math behaviors. When we're done this afternoon, hopefully you can navigate and deliver rich mathematical instruction that will promote math learning where students can engage in math in any environment or setting, including a virtual one. All right, so we're going to introduce ourselves and we're going to use this digital tool called Jamboard. Jamboard is a new Google tool. It's a smart display whiteboard. So you can actually buy a Jamboard, but they also have the app that you can use online. So we are using the app today, and the activity Katie's going to lead us through. So go ahead, Katie.
All right. I'm going to shrink down the waiting room, so keep your eye on it.
All right.
Okay. So like Nicole said, Jamboard is kind of like a virtual whiteboard that you can use in your classroom. It's brand new to me. I've never used it in my classroom, and I'm not sure I would use it right away at the beginning of the year with kindergartners. But we have talked to some teachers throughout the last 2 weeks who have some really good ideas about how they would use it to do, some whole group activities. Today, we're just going to kind of mess around with it a little bit and learn how to use the sticky note. If you look over here on the side, you'll see a little pen. There's an eraser, a selection arrow. Right here is a little sticky note. You can insert images, and then there's a little laser pointer. Before we get started, before I show you, there's this button up here and it says clear frame. Don't press that unless you want your whole frame to get erased. We learned that the hard way the other day. We had it all done and then somebody accidentally clicked clear frame and it went, everybody's post-it note went away. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make a post-it note like Nicole did. I'm going to click on the sticky note, and then up here you can change the color to whatever you want. And we're all just going to introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Katie, and I teach at Fletcher. Okay. And then you're going to save it, and it'll post it up in the corner. And then when you're done, if you don't want to make any more, you just hit cancel. And then you can kind of move these around anywhere you want. You can turn them weird ways. You can make them a little bit bigger. Whatever you want. Nicole added her little Bitmoji. If you want to add a Bitmoji to yours, you can. And did you drop the link in there for him, Nicole, to this? Or if not, I can. So you guys, if you have the presentation open, you should be able to go into.
It's in the chat, yeah.
Okay, it's in the chat. So go ahead and jump on. We have a small group today. If there are over 50 people, is that what it is? Yes, you can only have 50 people on one Jamboard. So go ahead and hop on and try to make your own sticky note. And then we'll just move them around all over.
And there's about 30 of us. We might be able to fit them, but if you can't fit them, there's a little arrow. You can go to the next page.
Hi, Stephanie. Okay. Stacy. So on the Jamboard slide, we added a little video from a kindergarten teacher. She actually went back to TK this year, Kim Dominguez. She is amazing, and she did kind of a little tutorial video about some ways that she would use Jamboard in her TK classroom. So I added that video, and if you guys want to come back later and check out some of the ways that she's going to use it, I recommend doing that. Oh, you guys are so good.
Looking good.
So kids, or you can also draw with the little pen and erase it, insert pictures, all that good stuff. Give everybody a chance to. Oh, hi Christina and Amanda, my Casa Loma friends. Okay, looks good. I think you can make, yeah, you can make them bigger, smaller, whatever. Oh, we got some new ones. So when yours pops over here up to the top, just go ahead and move it so we can see everyone's. Or I wonder if I can move them too. So yeah, I would just recommend it. I mean, especially upper grades, the clear frame thing, because you can't really tell who clicks clear frame. So I could see somebody being the funny guy and deleting everybody's responses. Okay, so Jamboard, another little digital tool. It's actually now on, you know, your little Google waffle when you log in. The Jamboard's actually on there now, so it's easier to access. Great job, everyone. Marcy Davis, hi, friend. Okay, I'm gonna X out of this. Okay. So here's that video up in the corner. If you have a copy of the presentation, you can come back and watch it later to see what Kim is doing. Okay, math behaviors. So if you guys took the math training this past spring, this is gonna look pretty familiar to you. But if you're a brand new teacher or you missed the training like I did, we're gonna do a quick little review. So if you click on this, it's going to take you to these slides. The first two are in English and the last two are in Spanish. So over here on the left-hand side, we have our math practices. Remember, there are 8 of them. And next to them, over on the side, are the bulleted student math behaviors. These are the behaviors we want to draw out in our students to make our students more mathematical thinkers. So we're going to take like 2 or 3 minutes, and I want you guys to just go through these 2 slides and kind of review or, you know, refresh your memory about what about these student math behaviors. And then in a minute, we'll do a little activity with them. So about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, now that you guys have had a few minutes to look at those, we're going to think about this question that's down here in this little box. how do you promote or draw out math behaviors in the classroom? And specifically, let's talk about how we can draw out behaviors in our virtual math classroom. So we are going to put you guys into some breakout rooms in a minute and try and have one person that will share out when we come back. And you guys are going to talk about this question. How do you promote or draw out math behaviors in your classroom? You want to, I don't know if it'll show up when you're in your breakout room, so you might want to snap a picture or jot the question down real quick.
All right, we'll give you just a second to jot your question down. And then remember, when you're in the breakout room, it's going to say you're in breakout room number. It's going to give you like a room number 5, and then you're going to click the little blue button, go to the breakout room. And then you're going to have to turn off your microphone, or turn on your microphone, sorry, and speak with your team. If you want to turn on your camera, you can as well. But that's how you use the breakout room. You guys are in charge. We can pop in, but as the teacher or the host, we can pop in and make sure you're okay. We can also send messages to you, and it will give you a 60-second countdown when we return, and it'll bring you back to the main group. So remember, you guys are in charge of answering the question, how do you promote or draw out math behaviors in the virtual classroom? Have one reporter, and you can join your breakout rooms now. All right, so it'll close in 60 seconds.
Almost everyone.
All right, it looks like all 28 of us are back. Welcome back from your breakout room. All right, so which group would like to go first? One of our reporters, just unmute yourself and share how your group discussed how you're going to promote or draw out these math behaviors in the virtual classroom. Heather, go ahead, Heather.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Sorry, I just like to get it over with. You know, I don't have my own classroom, and so the people in my breakout session were great. Some of the things they said were become visionary about it and make it relatable to the students, make it hands-on, make sure students are explaining their ideas in kind of a show and tell sort of way, plan for collaboration, and have some real world scenarios. So that's
awesome. I like all those. All right, did anyone else have anything to add or want to share what your group said that's different from what Heather said?
My group kind of talked about specific different strategies that we could take. A lot of them were ones that we already use in our physical classroom that we could then take to use in a virtual classroom and stuff. We talked about number talks being a huge part of, supporting, kids to find different ways to solve problems, or even just, subitizing and things like that. One of our teachers mentioned that she does math journaling in her classroom. And so we kind of talked a little bit about what that would look like in our new virtual world, and just some different strategies like that, which I think was really helpful.
Yeah.
For us.
I love it. You're gonna love our lessons if you like some subitizing and number talks and math writing. So yeah, great. Those are all great things. We just gotta keep, keeping the things that we know and we know that work. It's just presenting it in a different way. So I love it. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing. Who would like to share next?
I can share.
All right, Marcy, go ahead.
So I was just looking at one, explain the meaning of a problem. We learned in the kindergarten ELA of an app, or I don't know if it's an app, but it's a text to speech where you could actually, so you could call on 1 or 2 students to explain the meaning, but they all want to. And so you could use that to have them all explain how to do a problem, and then you can kind of see where they are with that.
Absolutely, utilizing our Google tools and using that text to speech to justify our thinking or explain our reasoning. Awesome. Anyone else, any other group want to share? There's a couple more groups. All right. All right, so great. Yes, definitely utilizing math manipulatives that they have, at their home. And it can be things like beans, Legos, Cheerios, buttons, whatever they may have, pennies at home that they can grab quickly and grab a handful of. And also, they can cut paper. You can make paper little squares. So definitely making sure we're still promoting those math behaviors even in this virtual setting.
Yes.
Thank you guys for talking to each other and being in those breakouts. Those are always a great tool for adult learners. The breakout rooms work really well. Kindergarten, maybe we're not gonna do a breakout room and leave them on their own because they're just learning how to work the technology, but definitely if you work in special ed, if you have your aides, you can put your aides in a breakout room and assign them some students and then check on each group. But really, it's great for us adult learners. All right, so now we're going to look at the key essential standards, and our essential standards were created because we needed to make some lessons. And before we were going to make these lessons, we went ahead and looked at the standards and said, okay, what are our lessons going to be and how are we going to pace it out? So we kind of looked at the scope and sequence and we deconstructed those standards. We went to the framework and looked at and added some framework notes in there. You'll see some strategies, prerequisite skills, and some integration from the previous year's standards as well. And some things that may have not been taught for grades 1 through 8, but kindergarten, of course, some kids don't go to TK, so we didn't add those there. And one distinction from math is that our additional and supporting standards are in blue and our major standards are in black font. So Katie, if you'll click on our kindergarten standards.
Math starts on page 13, in case any of you were wondering.
All right, so Katie's gonna scroll down to page 13. All right, you'll see our map, and we start with a little explanation that these standards were created for our unique situation in 2021 and starting with distance learning. So that's why we created them and paced them out. It's because our work teams needed a pacing guide so they can work together. Of course, you can make your copy and use whatever pacing that your team deems necessary for your group of students. This is how we started our work. So as you can see, we have like the first 2 weeks in August, we're looking at the counting and cardinality, and our expectation is 0 to 20 within that first unit. And then we break down how we're going to do that. And those are the framework notes there. And then as Katie's scrolling, you can see we keep going through the standards. If those aren't the standards you teach at that time, of course, you're going to teach what you'd like to teach, but know that our lessons for the first 4 weeks were taken from these standards. And you see that as we start learning, we have some prerequisite skills here. And as Katie scrolls down, you're going to see some of those additional and supporting standards. in math, it's so important that we still teach the additional and supporting standards. They just may be integrated into some other standard work, or maybe not spent as much time on as our main. And we have it all sequenced out for the whole year. Again, it's just a tool for you to use and make your own.
Yes. Okay.
All right. And ELA and math, like Katie said, are in the same document, so you have to scroll down. Sometimes people open that and say, this is just the ELA one. So know that ELA and math are there together. When you make your own copy, you can separate them if you'd like. So, and like I said, we used our key essential standards, and then we started with a lesson plan. So our lesson plans in kindergarten are weekly. They include the date or time frame that the lesson would be taught, the lesson focus, what technology they're going to use, what standards we're focusing on, some math behaviors that can be drawn out there, a learning intention, success criteria, materials that the teacher would use, and questions to ask students. So Katie, if you go ahead and click on that for me. All right. So this is what it looks like. It says for this week, there's 5 lessons, including a math opener. So this could be done daily the first week or so. It goes over shapes and colors. And then we have days 1 through 5 here that you can copy and make your own. And then the standards that we'd cover this week. The math behaviors that we could draw out, or this teacher that created thought, you know, we can draw out. You can always add more if you want to add different activities, a learning intention, success criteria, materials they'd use, and those questions down there. And again, this is not something you have to use. This is just the planner that Miranda used when she was creating these. Whatever you do or whatever your administrator tells you to do, that's what you'll do. But they're a resource there for you. All right, so the daily lessons, which you're just going to absolutely love, are packed with building number sense and number talks, uses of multiple representations. There's a lesson with videos and interactive activities. There's sentence frames. There's opportunities for students to practice and opportunities to check for understanding. So as we're watching Katie present the lesson today, keep those things in mind, that they are there.
Okay. Okay. Yay.
All right.
Okay, the lesson that I'm going to present today is actually from week 3, day 3, and it's about the number 6. So before I start, just like what Nicole just said, these lessons were created as a guide for you. They're just a floor. You can manipulate them in any way that you want to fit the needs of your students or your needs as a teacher. So what I mean by that is if you go through this lesson and you go, oh, I don't really like that slide, but I love these 3, you could just take those 3 and put them in whatever presentation that you're preparing for your students. So you can use these lessons in both synchronous or asynchronous settings. They're very user-friendly, but before you start using them, I would highly recommend teaching and practicing some basic Chromebook skills with your kids, specifically dragging and dropping and the back arrow. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I definitely understand that using a Chromebook the first couple weeks of school is very difficult for 5-year-olds. I still have scars from the iReady days, but we're gonna have to do it. So I would just really recommend going over those skills and maybe doing some practice lessons with your students before they do these lessons. So at the beginning, I would probably have my students take out whatever materials they'll need for the lesson. So for this one, they're just going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, and a bag of whatever manipulatives they have. I'm going to send some home with my kids, but if you don't send anything home, you could maybe tell your parents beforehand to get them a bag of, you know, cereal, beans, pasta, any sort of manipulative that they have around the house. Okay. So most of the lessons start with a subitizing video. I heard somebody mention subitizing earlier already, but if you don't know what subitizing is, basically it's the ability to recognize small groups of objects without having to count them. So I can hold up my hand and you guys know that I have 5 fingers up because you subitize. But kindergartners don't always come in knowing that skill or being able to do that skill. They have to, 1, 2, 3, or hit their face or whatever they do to count. So we want to practice subitizing a lot to get, it's really great for strengthening their number sense, and it can help in all sorts of other math concepts down the road. So we've added these Jack Hartman subitizing videos. I love Jack Hartman. I know he's not for everybody, but he does so many different versions of these, from up to 5, up to 10. He has country versions, rap version, rock versions, all sorts of different ones. So this would be a time where I would really try to engage my students, not just press play on the video and sit there and watch it. I'd probably unmute them all. Okay, guys, get up. We're going to subitize. Let's do this all together. And really just try and have some fun to get them excited about the lesson. If you just press play and they're just sitting there watching it, they're not really going to know, why they're watching it. So Jack Hartman's great. He represents the numbers in all sorts of different ways. He uses 10 frames, fingers, and dots in this video. So I'm just going to play about a minute for you. I mean, if you want to shout out answers and get up and dance, that's fine with me, but I won't make you. Oh, sorry. Let's see.
Jack Hartman! Kids Music Channel!
Subitize up to 5. Use your brain, use your eyes. See a set and think quick. Say the number in the set.
2, 4. And then further on, he uses the 10 frames. So it's just a great way to get them to practice their subitizing and to also, see numbers represented in different ways, not just numerals or not just pictures. They get to see them differently, which is good for their number sense. Next, we have a number talks with some dot images. So I love using these dot images at the beginning of the year for my number talks. We know, somebody mentioned it earlier too, that number talks are so important in helping our kids develop strong number sense and problem solving abilities. So these dot images are great for that. During the first few lessons, remember this one's from week 3. So during the first few lessons, I would have really modeled, appropriate signals for responding. There is a great number talks poster that has those signals for if you have an answer or whatever, that you could include in your slide presentation. We didn't put it in this one because people have different, procedures for how they do their number talks. So what I would probably do is I would probably give my kids some think time and, mute them all and ask them the question, how many dots do you see? And then maybe, give them a little countdown so that they can all answer, like, okay, on the count of 3, we're all gonna say, I see blank dots, and then unmute them and they can all yell it out. And then I would probably mute them again and say, now we're gonna think about how we saw those dots. When I look at those, I see them this way. And then you could either call on, I might use like my Class Dojo randomizer, or I might use popsicle sticks and call in a few friends that you want, or that to share how they saw them using those sentence frames down at the bottom. You could also use this time to call on some of like your ELL students that you want using that language in class to do that. Let's see. Okay, Sesame Street, number of the day is super fun. The kids love these videos, love them, love them. And this is an awesome way to get them up and moving. These videos are easy to switch out. Like if you don't like Jack Hartman or you don't like Sesame Street, but you like the idea of having a video to get them up and moving, feel free to take the video out and plug in one that you really enjoy doing with your students. So if you haven't seen the Number of the Day song yet, which most of you have, probably, I'm just gonna play it. It's about a minute long, so you guys can see how much fun it is. We had a teacher last week that had her grandkids in this session, and we put this on, and they came in the back and they were dancing up a storm to it, and they loved it.
It's time to get up and stomp your feet to this great foot-stomping Transylvanian beat. Start nice and slow,
1, 2,
then speed up more,
1, 2, 3, 4.
and stomp away, cause we're about to find out the number of the day.
What's the number? Stop, stop. What's the number? Stop, stop. What is the number?
The number of the day really hops and kicks. The number of the day is 6.
So that's the number. Stop, stop.
So again, these are those videos that you don't just want to press play and say, okay, we're gonna watch the Number of the Day song. I'd probably like, get up, it's the number of the day, let's go crazy, dance and yell and let them have some fun. Like I said, if this isn't your thing, you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, these slides are really great that Miranda made. So for forming the number 6, there's some virtual manipulatives over here. But during this slide, if I was zooming with my class and doing this lesson live, I would probably model how to do this with the virtual manipulatives, but then I would probably switch to my Elmo screen and use the manipulatives of my own to model what I want them doing at home. So this slide you can use as like a Google Classroom assignment after you give the lesson. So you could model how to do it and then just assign this slide as an assignment later on. And you make it so that they have to make a copy of it, and you can just see if they were able to, you know, move those manipulatives to make the number 6. This is a great activity to practice the dragging and dropping. You cannot be in present mode when you do this because it won't let you move the manipulatives. So I'm going to do it right now. You just move them over. Really helps their dragging and dropping practice. So I might model, you know, okay, I'm making the number 6. So I always call like my roller coaster number. We're going down and then we're going to go around. So then I might say after I was done with this, okay, now I want you guys to take out that bag of counters that you have out and we are going to form the number 6. Then switch to my Elmo screen and work together to form the number 6. Okay, let's see. Here is another Jack Hartman video. I actually had never seen these until Miranda put them in the lesson. He's made one for every number that we need to teach pretty much. And he represents the numbers in even more ways than he does in the subitizing videos. So I love all the different exposures that they get. I'm gonna show you a minute or two of this so that you can see he uses pictures, 10 frames, numerals, number words, fingers, dice, tally marks, all sorts of different things. So let's watch just a minute.
Jack Hartman, Kids Music Channel.
I can show the number 6 in many ways. Look and sing along and let's learn today. I can show the number 6 in many ways. I can show the number 6 as a picture, like this.
6,
I can show the number 6 as a numeral, like this.
6,
I can show the number 6 on fingers, like this.
6,
I can show the number 6 in a 10 frame, like this.
6.
So I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but after you watch this video with your kids, you have some opportunities to check for understanding or check for engagement. You could say, oh, Mr. Hartman, he showed the number 6 in so many different ways. Do you think you could show the number 6 on your fingers? And then maybe have them try and count their 6 fingers and hold them up so everyone can see on the screen. Or you could have them use their paper pencil and say, oh, Mr. Hartman, he drew 6 hearts. I'm not very good at drawing hearts, but I think I could draw 6 circles or 6 dots. Do you guys think you could draw 6 dots? And maybe have them draw, 6 dots or something easy on their paper, and then they can hold it up to show that they can represent the number 6 with their fingers and with a picture. Okay, here's another drag and drop slide. So I'm going to get out of present mode. This one is a little trickier than the first drag and drop, because once you drag these into the 10 frame, then you can't get them back out again because it's inside or behind this object. So what I want my students to be able to do is to be able to use this back arrow in case they put too many in, or, I would just say, like, if you do something like this and it's in a spot you don't want it in, come up here and hit the back arrow and it'll go back to where it's supposed to be. So for this, this slide I would do with my kids, all together. I'd have them help count with me. So I'd probably unmute them and, okay, you guys need to help me count. Let's get to 6, and we put them in there. You could even not try, kind of play with it a little bit and say, like, okay, I have 6 in my 10 frame now, and wait for somebody to correct you, because somebody will, no, you don't, that's only 5, you need 1 more. Once you have your 6 in there, I would use my sentence frame down here. I use 6 dots, and have all of them, say it with you. I use 6 dots in my 10 frame to make the number 6. Now I like this because it asks you to count how many more you need to make 10. So I would really, you've already taught this 10 frame in the weeks prior, so I would really, emphasize, remember we've learned about a 10 frame, and we know that there are 10 empty frames, or 10 frames or 10 spaces in a 10 frame, and we've filled up 6 of them. So let's see, how many more red dots would we need to get to 10? And I'd give them a little think time. Then you could, unmute them all at the same time, or call on somebody to tell you. And then you could say this all together. I use 6 dots. I need 4 more to make 10. This is another one of those slides that you could assign in the Google Classroom for kids to do after the lesson as some independent practice. Our dice slide. I like this slide. So I would give students a minute to look at the dice and then explain to them that we're going to be looking for the dice that represent the number 6. You could ask them if they notice any dice right away that aren't the number 6. So maybe you have some good little subitizers in there that will say, oh, I see this dot right here, it only has 1 on it. I know that's not 6. Also, you could help them out and show them kind of some patterns that they might not recognize. So this is that math behavior, looking for relationships and patterns that you could call out. So like when I look at this dice, I might say, oh, boys and girls, look, I see 1, 2, 3, and over here I see 1, 2, 3. I remember in our number talks today that we had 3 dots on one side and 3 dots on the other side, and that made the number 6. Let's count and see if this is 6. And then we could count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, this dice represents the number 6. So let's put a green circle around it. And then, you could do this in all sorts of different ways. You could ask them to look and see if they see any other dice that look like this, or do they see any dice that they know wouldn't be 6. And then eventually you can get them to, or you would put the circles around them. This slide also can be copied and used as a Google Classroom assignment for extra practice. Let's see. And then our cubes. So Unifix cubes, I wish that all of our students would have some at home, but who knows if that's even an option. So it's great that we have these virtual manipulatives, and on the website we're going to explore in a few minutes, we'll show you guys some great virtual manipulative websites that you can use for your presentations. So these little cubes, you're going to use the cubes, drag and drop them to make a line of 6. So I might have the kids count along with me while I was making a train of 6 cubes. And then I might actually try and add in, you know, some patterning practice here. So I'd make mine all red and blue until I got to 6. And then we'd probably count them. So we count them all together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to use our sentence frame down here. I counted 6 cubes. And then I might, you know, bring up the pattern. I might say, I noticed that these look a little, I didn't use any of the green or purple. I just used blue and red. I want you guys to say this with me. Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. I put my cubes in something called a pattern. A pattern is something that repeats. So when I say this out loud, I want you guys to think, what color cube would come at the end? Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. And then they could all shout out blue, and you could say that's right, and the pattern could keep on repeating. So this is another one of those slides. I believe, yes, once you move it in there, it's not moving out. So let's see. Yes, they're going to have to use the back arrow if they put one in a place that they do not like. Okay, and the last slide in the lesson presentation is writing numbers. Now, when we made these lessons for language arts, for math, writing, all of that, it's very hard to make lessons that are a good fit for every single school in our district and every teacher. I know that every teacher teaches number writing and handwriting different. Some of you use top, bottom, and broken lines. Some of you use just one straight line. Some of you don't use lines at all. Some of you don't start with paper. You use Play-Doh, big pencils, no erasers. Some people swear by erasers. So it was hard to put some number writing videos in these lessons because everybody is so different. So if you look at this number writing video and you hate it, you will not hurt my feelings, I promise. I know it's not a one size fits all for everybody. This is just an idea, a video that they could use after the lesson for practice, or I might just skip the video and do it live from my Elmo screen. So I'm just gonna show you a minute or two of this number writing video. All they need for it is a pencil and paper. When we made the videos, we were instructed to do them with as little materials as possible, anything that they could have around the house. So we didn't have a lot of, you know, ability to include materials.
Okay, friends, let's learn how to write the number 6. This is the word for the number 6, and we spell it S-I-X, 6. And let's count our dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I call 6 my roller coaster number. And I say that because it looks like riding around a roller coaster on a loop to me. So I start at the top, I go down, and then I'm going to go into my roller coaster loop. Boop, till it touches. So let's do another one. Ready? Start at the top. I go down, and right before I hit the ground, I go back up, then around. Let's do one more over here. Start at the top, go down, and curve around. Okay, let's draw 3 dots to practice.
So I probably would have paused it. This video goes a little quick for the sake of not having a long drawn out video for them to watch. But I would have probably paused it and said, okay, now everybody remember what we've learned before. We're gonna make a couple dots on our paper. We're gonna put spaces between them. And now we're gonna practice writing them on our own. Let's see if it'll finish for us.
Okay, ready? Like you're on a roller coaster. So we're gonna go down and then into a loop. Boop.
Oh.
Ready? Down and into a loop. Down and into a loop. The number 6.
So, like I said, you do not have to use these videos. You can use them later in the year or make your own. That's totally fine. Remember, these lessons are made to be manipulated. You don't have to use them exactly the way they are or at all if you don't want to. I plan to use these lessons kind of like I just did with you right now. I'm going to have my kids on some sort of Zoom call, and I'm going to present the lesson live with them. But some of these things like the number writing at the end, you could have them all do a quick check for understanding, you know, have them hold up their paper. If there's a couple kids who, you know, couldn't even attempt a line, then automatically, you know, ooh, fine motor skills might be an issue here. Or if you have some kids that are drawing perfect sixes, obviously they're ready to move on to something, maybe some lines or something to write them a little more neatly or uniform. So that is our lesson. And there are 4 weeks of those. Let's see. Okay.
Thank you so much, Katie, for that lesson.
So welcome.
So awesome. So Katie just went through the lesson. Like she said, we have 4 weeks of lessons for math ready for you and an opener that you can use with your students as well. When we were tasked with this back in May, we didn't know what school was going to look like. We were really hoping that we would at least get to see some of our kiddos. But now that we know we're starting full virtual, it's a little different. So we know that the teacher will be there with the students, and maybe you can use some of these like lessons as practice, but you're going to be with your kids. So you can, like Katie said, take your Elmo and draw the sixes in live person, and then send the video, you know, via Google Classroom for those that need more practice. But really make it your own. You can, we're going to show you where you can make a copy and then utilize these to make your own slides for the day, because it really does help. Like where Katie's sharing and she can play those videos, you're going to want to be organized and have slides definitely, and share your screen with the kids. So this is a great way. And Miranda did a phenomenal job of putting together the lessons and adding resources and videos. And like Katie said, if that's not your thing and you don't like them, just switch them out, or you can just use the template and add whatever you'd like. And then it's really going to make week 5 a lot easier for you, because you're going to already kind of have the hang of it, know what your kids need, and be able to insert videos. And when we get to the exploration part, we'll show you where some tutorials are as well if you need some help with that.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna look at some tips for using a Flipgrid in a, So we're gonna look at some tips first for using our Flipgrid. Today we're gonna actually do a Flipgrid and answer a question, but we wanted you to know that first, since we're in a Zoom meeting, you're gonna need to stop your video and mute yourself. We also learned that you can also, as the teacher, put everybody in their own breakout room. So once kids go to their own breakout room, give them time to do their Flipgrid, and then you can bring them right back. So you put closed breakout room, and then in 60 seconds, they'll come back to you. But today, the way we're gonna do it is the way Alicia explained. So we're gonna watch Alicia's video, and then we're gonna answer a question on Flipgrid.
Today, I'm gonna show you how you can do a Flipgrid within a Zoom window. You could do this if you are having student participation during a whole class model lesson, or if you are holding a PD for teachers and want them to require a Flipgrid without having to use a second device. Now, the thing with using both these programs at the same time is you only have one camera on your computer, and you've given access to that camera to your Zoom program. Let's see what happens when you try to do Flipgrid first with Zoom up. Now, when you hit the green button to record on Flipgrid, you get this little window that says you need camera and mic help. The reason for this is your camera is busy on your Zoom window, and so Flipgrid can't access it. To do this, you then need to stop video and mute yourself, and then you're going to hit retry camera. In doing that, the camera can flip itself to now work with Flipgrid. You can record your video, post it, and then turn your video back on Zoom.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna give it a try. So Katie's gonna go to the next slide, and it's gonna show us a question that we're gonna answer. So what are some ways you can engage students during virtual lessons? So we just watched Katie do her lesson. So think about your math lesson. What are you gonna do to engage those kiddos and make math fun? So if you can click on this little Flipgrid here, and it will take you to our Flipgrid. And Katie, can you put that also in the chat for us?
Yes, just this link up here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, so it's gonna go to Summer Institute 2020, and then it has our question again, what are some ways you can engage students during your math lesson or during these lessons? And you're just gonna scroll down to the big plus sign and add your video. So just that one, right? Oh, you're good.
Okay. There we go.
That big plus sign, and you're gonna record your video. Make sure, like Alicia said, you have to have your video stopped and muted in Zoom for your Flipgrid to work. So we're gonna give you 5 minutes and then come back with us either when you're done with your Flipgrid or in 5 minutes. So we'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Welcome back. All right, hopefully you had a chance to do your Flipgrid. If you didn't figure it out or you couldn't add it, you can always add it later, and there's also tutorials on the website as well. So we did learn something. We learned that the teacher needs to be muted too, or you guys can hear us. We apologize because Katie was doing her Flipgrid, but she's also sharing her screen so you could hear her and then you could hear us talking when she was done. So we do apologize for that. So now you know, please put yourself on mute too, especially if you step away for a moment. You're gonna wanna be muted so your kids have some quiet. So we know that now, so you didn't have to find it out in the classroom, you got to find it out here. So Katie, if you didn't go back, let's look at a couple of those Flipgrids.
Oh, yes.
Thank you guys for sharing. I'm so excited that so many of you guys went ahead and added your Flipgrid. And this is a great way for students too, once you teach them how to click that link. I love how Christina added her little glasses. They can add stickers. And then if you're not totally camera ready, like Catherine doesn't think she is, but I know she is because I saw her earlier. But you can put that little smiley face over of your face. And it's just really fun. You can re-record if you totally mess up. It's great to re-record. And it's only a couple steps. Kids just have to, you know, click the link or put the link in. You can put it in their Google Classroom and they just push the plus sign and go. So lots of kindergarten students are able to learn how to do Flipgrid and really do it well. So then you get to see what they know. So maybe if they're making 6, like we talked about today, you can tell them to go get 6 things, go get 6 toys, go get 6 Legos, whatever you have in your house, spoons, cups, beans, whatever you have, go get 6 of them. And I want to see 6 different things. Maybe if you're talking about colors, you can do 6 red things, 6 blue things, count 6 windows in your house. It can be whatever, you know, they can go show you. But let's see, would anybody like to volunteer to share theirs? I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Stephanie, can we share yours?
So good. Stephanie?
Sure, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you.
So then you can see what other people said.
All right. I am planning on using virtual manipulatives, but I also think I want to encourage them to use Skittles, Cheerios, whatever, because it will engage us in, it will engage them and get their bodies active and give them a snack.
Good. And you could hear my big mouth in the background. Sorry about that.
Right, so you can just now see how different people can. We have one more volunteer. All right. Come on, all right.
One of my Casa Loma girls, come on.
Amanda,
No.
Christina, anyone? All right. Well, we'll go watch them later and see how you're going to engage your kiddos. But Definitely a great way to get your kids engaged. You can then leave them a video message on Flipgrid to respond to them. So you can give them some corrective feedback if needed, or just really build that relationship with them. So Flipgrid's great. It's something that you can use in Zoom, but we know you got to keep the teacher muted and have the students stop their video and mute as well.
Yes.
All right, and thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing. And then, yeah, students can click on each other's videos, Heather, if you allow them to. So it's all in the settings. They can also respond to other students as well if you allow them. All right, so now we're going to get to the fun stuff. In your other sessions, you've probably seen the BCSD virtual learning website. It's go.bcsd.com/DFP. You might want to write that down or save it in your browser history so you can get to that quickly, star it. But go.bcsd.com/DFP is our virtual learning center. It has everything that you need. It has our grade level lessons like we looked at today, has guides and tutorials for kids and for teachers, has Google Classroom help, has virtual tools that you may need. It has SEL lessons. There are Zoom tutorials, everything you need to know about Zoom. And then that family communication is something that's coming. It's something for teachers to communicate with families. So this is a teacher website. It's not supposed to be shared with parents. This is all for teachers, things that we would want teachers to do. So anything that you would want to share with students or parents, you'd want to make your own copy, download it to your drive, and then share it via Google Classroom. All right, Katie's going to click on that grade level lesson button, and we're going to go to wonderful kindergarten. And now this is our kindergarten homepage to our website. As you can see up top, we have the weeks of learning, high frequency word resources, math virtual tools, math tutorials for lesson creation. So Melinda Huff, who teaches or was a first grade teacher, now she's an intervention specialist at Pioneer. She created lesson tutorials. After our first session, the teachers were like, can you give us some videos or tell us how you did it? Like, I don't even know where to start. So Melinda was kind enough to create a 5-part little tutorial on just like what she did and how she opened things, how she downloaded things. So it's really great if you need some extra tech help to create your own lessons. And there's those math virtual tools, which are really cool, that you can utilize when you are teaching your virtual classroom, and they are free. Just download those and stick them in your lesson, or you can use them live. All right. So first we see here, some videos on how to utilize the site for distance learning, just really a guide for the site. There's a Google Classroom example. If you click on it, you have to add that little, join that Google Classroom, and you can see what a sample kindergarten classroom would like. If you've never used Google before, that's really helpful. And down here you find our ELA and Math Essential Standards, our ELA and Math unit for kindergarten. So really important in planning. All of your things are right here in one spot for you, so you can plan some lessons to get going for school virtually this year. So Katie's going to click on one of our weeks to show you kind of what a week looks like. It does take a second for our calendar to load. So this is for week 2. You'll see our calendar here in a second. And Katie, do you want to explain the calendar and what the thinking was behind it?
So the calendar, we kind of made this because sometimes the Google Classroom can be a little overwhelming for kindergarten. So we had the thought, if we created a calendar or something like this, that we could pin at the top of like our stream in our classroom, that parents could kind of come on and see, okay, well, this is what they're going to be working on for the day. And, if there's a lesson or something that you want the kids to be able to come back to, you could link it right here and tell them to check their calendar and go wherever you wanted them to. So all of these are linked to the lessons each day. And you could link in, you know, if you wanted your SEL lessons down here or whatever virtual resources you're going to use, you could also put them in your calendar. My son is in an autism class, and his teacher made one of these during the distance learning in the spring. And it was super helpful for me because I was juggling teaching my kindergartner at home and my 4th grader. So it was helpful for me to log on to his Google Classroom and see this schedule so that I knew what needed to be done. Now, this idea came before we had any of the, you know, schedule for synchronous or asynchronous learning. So we didn't know really what it was going to look like. We didn't know if, you know, this would be probably for more of an asynchronous type setting where, you know, they just go on and see recorded lessons and things like that. So just something to think about and manipulate to use how you'd like it in your classroom.
Okay. All right, thank you, Katie. Definitely thinking about, like Katie said, times for that asynchronous learning where maybe you're meeting with a small group. Maybe they need some extra practice, you know, writing those numbers or counting, one-to-one correspondence. You're going to spend some more time with them and then send your other kiddos to the Google Classroom or maybe to Freckle. So really thinking about what your math time is going to look like after you meet your kids and figure out their level of skill with utilizing the computer. You can always have them, you know, do whatever you're assigning on pencil paper too, and then show you their work. And then as Katie's scrolling down, you can see our math lessons are there. If you click on the link below, it will ask you to make a copy. And you're gonna make your copy. You can name it whatever you'd like. And you're gonna see those slides there. Like Katie said before, you can add, you can delete. If you don't like the rainbow background, you can change it, make it your own. And then when you're creating weeks 5 and beyond, you can just make a copy and then change out the numbers, change out the activities, and include whatever you'd like to do. So it's just a nice kind of template for you. You know, you're gonna, if you'd like to start, you know, an estimation jar for your, instead of number talks, you know, sometimes, or maybe start, you know, your week with an estimation jar, you can definitely do that, or whatever you do for building that number sense.
Should we, let's show them the math opener.
Yeah, we can look.
Oh, look, what just happened?
We don't know.
Ooh.
So week
Found
1 was there last night when we looked at, and when we had our 3 to 5, but yeah, try it again.
It's probably just a bad link from that specific page.
I'll try to find that later and get it relinked. So the math opener Miranda created because we know a lot of our students don't attend pre-K or TK. So these are just some skills that they would need before, you know, or in conjunction with learning to count and write their numbers. Things like colors. And there's some color videos, and shapes is the next one, and then counting. So she just did a little like, how can we open and what can we do before we begin our learning? Kind of backfilling those prerequisite skills again. And you can use that, or you can create your own math opener.
Yes. There are some good tutorials for using the Chromebook that you can copy from here and send to your parents. I made a couple of my own because, you know, everything's different in kindergarten. What works for teaching a 3rd grader to drag and drop is probably not the same as it would be for teaching a 5-year-old. So I recommend you guys checking out some of those tutorials. And the tech team has said if there's something specific that you need help with, you need your kids to know how to do, they are willing to make tutorials for whatever you need. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay. So
that is the kindergarten homepage on the virtual website. Pretty much in a nutshell, there's lots of things to click, but most important, you have all your lessons for ELA, math, and then there's that SEL portion as well. but definitely click around, start thinking about, you know, your first few days of school and what it's going to look like. But we definitely recommend making that slide deck in Google Slides and then presenting, you know, having something there for your kids while you are in synchronous learning. Again, you can go back and forth to your video or show them how to use video, as well as then they'll be seeing the screen just like they were in your class. All right, so we're gonna go back to our main presentation. So again, they have all of our lessons, our support, documents, help documents, videos, and then there is a spot on there too for those requests. So if you need something and you and your team, you know, just don't know how to make that tutorial or even where to start, the tech team is willing to help, which they are amazing.
Yes.
All right, so we have a few minutes. Are there any questions before we let you go explore the math resources? Does anyone have any questions? All right, and we really appreciate that you guys are enjoying the lessons and that you're going to use them and that you're excited about them. Our work teams really worked throughout the summer and worked long hours and really hard on these lessons. They made, like Katie said, that, you know, writing a number 6 may not be how you would do it, and you could do it however you want to do it, but we were really thinking, like, what happens if, you know, kids have to be at home and they're not going to be face-to-face with their teacher? What are we going to do? What is it going to look like? So we just really, you know, took us a while to come together and think, what can we do? Like, how is it going to look for a kindergartner? We still know there's going to be so many bugs and bumps and, you know, tech issues. We know it's all going to happen, but at least you have some lessons to get you started, and this is the floor. You can add whatever you like, and I cannot wait to see the amazing things that our kindergarten teachers do. Invite me, I'll come and I'll hang out and I'll Zoom with you and we can dance and count the number of the day. I can't wait to see all the phenomenal things you guys are going to do. But definitely wanted our teachers and our students to have something to start with. So this is what we created.
We have a question about timing for Zoom with students or suggestions. We don't have the answers about attendance type situations, but we had a question similar to this yesterday about schedule or like timing your lessons. So for math, we have about 60 minutes, and I'll just tell you what I'm going to do with my students. Obviously, everybody's different, but I plan on teaching math live, and I'm going to start with calendar and then go into my math lesson and probably end with some sort of independent work, whether that be working with manipulatives or, you know, doing something that's not on the computer. So I do have a copy of a morning calendar routine that's pretty interactive. Do you care if I show it to him real quick, Nicole?
I'll go for it.
So
maybe you can even, if you do like a share, you could drop the link.
Oh, yes, that would be a lot better than what I did yesterday. So if you do want this, you can either email me and I'll send you a copy, or I'll drop the link. Anyhow, so the first page is just kind of, you could do whatever you want. If you wanted to link these to, you know, calendar songs or counting, whatever it is you do during calendar. And then I'm not sure how I'm going to use this yet, but I think it would be fun to do some sort of, you know, student of the week. You could ask the parents to send you a little picture of them, or, you know, put some little bubbles of things they like to do, you know, whatever. I thought it would be fun to, you know, give them some special time. Then you go into, you know, the regular calendar. You can manipulate, each box has a text box in it, so you can change the numbers each month. Over here on the side are the other months that you can change it to. Your days of the week, you can change those and use the sentence frames. Then I thought this was fun for Bakersfield. So you go through your weather, you know, what the weather's like, and then You can use your little graph squares to make a graph. And I like it because you're not gonna have to change this slide presentation, you know, monthly, you'll have to change the month, but really every day you're just going to be adding to it.
Can I ask a question about that that's too long to type?
Yes.
Okay. I'll unmute my video. So when you said you would be doing this live, so say you have your virtual classroom up there, they can hear your voice, but they'll see those slides?
Yes, well, it would probably be more like this. Like, I want to really teach my parents and my students when they're doing Zoom with me to put it in speaker mode. So really, it would just be like a little square of me, kind of like when you do Screencastify or whatever, where it's just, so I would be on the screen, but hopefully that would be less distracting for them than having all their friends, you know, on the screen to wave at and do whatever with. So yes, I would do it live with me up here, but they would be seen, you know, in present mode. They'd see this, but they'd see me up here in the corner. I may not actually, it would probably be more like this because in order to move things around, you can't be in present mode. But I was going to do calendar, you know, live with my calendar in my room, but you guys know sometimes the video quality is not so great. So I figured a virtual one was a little better. Anyhow, these are all, you can change them. I like to count, you know, with doing our place value like 1s and 10s each day with little sticks, and we make our bundles. So I thought this might be the next best thing. There's some 10 frames in here, and then a little equation of the day. I don't even really, you know, I'm not going to say we're going to do an addition problem right now, but if you just kind of introduce this and just talk about like, okay, we've been in school, you know, change it each day. If we add one more, what's the number that comes after 1, 2? We've been in school for 2 days, and you could use your little 10 frame right here. And then the last slide would be like, if there's any birthdays, you could have like a little celebration birthday. So I thought I would do this little calendar routine, which is kind of fun. And you could throw in slides, you know, instead of using this at the beginning, you know, if you wanted to have a slide that just had like your days of the week songs or, you know, counting or however you do calendar, then that's totally fine. So let's see if anybody wants this.
Heather had a question about present mode. And yes, Heather, when it's in present mode, you can't move anything or change anything. So you do have to take it out of present mode to be able to manipulate it.
Yes.
So that's why in the lesson, we'll have to teach our students as well to take off that present and put it in edit mode basically. And then they can edit and then they'll save their copy and then send it in Google Classroom, just like this. You can kind of go through the screen and put it in present mode after.
Yes.
So when you review your calendar.
I did not make this, by the way. Somebody shared it with me and it was free for the sharing. So I'm not like some amazing calendar maker. I just saw it and I was like, this is amazing. So anyhow, I thought I would share it if you guys want it. You can move, like I said, like right now it is super, like when I have everybody's face, I'm sorry, let me go back. When I have everybody's face over here on the side, it gets distracting for me. So I like to just put it in speaker mode. And you could move the manipulatives, I guess, first, and then, you know, then hit present so that it's not so distracting for them. But that's the burden of using the virtual manipulatives and having to drag and drop them, not being able to be in present mode, but it'll be all right.
Yeah, you could also copy the slide and then like have maybe where it says like, you know, what's the number? Well, if this was the number yesterday, what do you think the number is going to be today? And then you can have, you know, a duplicate slide with it as well. But I think it's okay to show them like, you know, they can't see your hand, but they can see you grabbing something and dropping it somewhere else and really practicing those skills and reminding them, oh, remember, I have to take it out of present mode and I have to go and I have to drag it and I have to drop it. So hopefully you guys could see it well enough and they'll be on similar devices.
There is a group on Facebook called, I want to say Pre-K to 1 Bitmoji, and it has like amazing Bitmoji classrooms that probably took people like years to make. I don't even know. But a lot of people on there are very kind and are sharing their all their classrooms, just dropping the links. So if you're on Facebook, join one of those groups, because that's where I found this calendar routine. And there's been some amazing resources that, I mean, we all know these lessons take a long time to make. So anytime you can get somebody who's nice enough to share something, take it. Teaching with Neons, yes, Heather Ramos said Teaching with Neons is another great group. So just some
Awesome. Yes, sharing with your PLC group and with other kindergarten teachers you know. We would love to see your lessons, your suggestions, what works, what doesn't work. I know someone was talking yesterday about making the videos like ad-free and safe. Katie, what was that called?
It's called SafeTube. People have been having a couple issues with it though. It's supposed to remove any ads. You take your link from YouTube, like if you're going to share the video, and then you go to SafeTube and you plug the link in, and it'll give you a new link for SafeTube video that will take the links out. It's worked for me, but some people were saying yesterday that it wasn't working, so I'm not sure. One other recommendation we talked about yesterday that I would recommend you guys doing is having some practice Zoom meetings with maybe your grade level team or, you know, another teacher friend. I use my Apple at school. She's a friend of mine and she's amazing. And anytime I make something new, I'm like, hey, can you Zoom with me really quick? I want to see if this will work. And I've worked out so many kinks in my own lessons just from practicing a little bit. If you don't have anybody, maybe you're brand new and you don't have anyone, you can message me. I'll Zoom with you if you want to practice, whatever. But yeah, practice makes perfect, and technology's so hard. So
yeah, invite Katie and I, if we're available, we'll Zoom with you, help you, really, because like she said, it changes and we learn things every time we present or we're in a Zoom. We learn different things. So like today we learned that if everyone's going to do a Flipgrid, the teacher or host needs to be muted. If you have a coach or new teacher support provider that's helping you, you can make them the co-host and they can help with those hosting duties as well. That's a great thing to have. Or maybe if you are a special education teacher and you have an aide that you'd like to make co-host, you can do that. So lots of great things. You know, we just have to really embrace the situation we're in and love on our kids and our colleagues however we can. So if it's virtual, that's the only option we have right now. We just got to embrace it, do it. And I know you all are going to do just a phenomenal job. We have so much support here at BCSD. We're so lucky to have people that we can reach out to. So if you need anything, I can, email myself and I can find the answer for you, or, reach out to your coaches or your administrators. They're all willing to help as well. So this is the point where we say, are there any questions that you have for us? And let me look at the chat to see if there's any questions in the chat. All right, so there's no questions right now. So we're going to give you just a few minutes to go to that, the virtual website. And I believe Katie put it into the chat.
If not,
oh, okay, it's right here. So you can always just type in go.bcsd.com/DFP. Go to your kindergarten homepage here, and I want you to look at the math virtual tools and some of the math lessons and kind of play around with them. And then we'll have a little bit of time for any questions you may have or concerns you may have that we can maybe answer. So I'm going to start a timer for 10 minutes. So we'll give you about 10 minutes to explore. All right, so we'll see you back with questions in 10 minutes. All right, we're gonna come back together. Katie went ahead and shared the copy of her calendar and some Bitmoji resources as well. So thank you for doing that, Katie. So if we can just come back together And would anyone like to unmute themselves and ask any questions or concerns, comments, anything you'd like to say to the group? Anybody? You're all ready? No questions for us? Katie, anything you'd like to add?
I think I'm good.
All right. All right, so if you come up with a question in the next few minutes, just go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, so our success criteria was, I am successful when I can navigate and deliver rich mathematical instruction that will promote mathematical learning where students can engage in mathematics in any environment or setting. So we hope that you are now able to navigate the virtual website and the lessons, and that you are able to really plan and deliver those rich math lessons that promote engagement and the math behaviors, and really promote that love of learning for math, and just have a great time this year. So thanks for joining us today. Make sure that you save this presentation to your Google Drive. And Katie's gonna drop some links in the chat.
They are Q's, by the way. They're not G's. They look very similar, but so it's at the end of the evaluation, it's DQE, and at the end of the attendance, it's DQS.
All right, so there is an attendance link and an evaluation link. So we really appreciate your feedback on the evaluation, and then make sure the attendance is on a form. So to get paid for today, you're going to need to make sure you fill out that attendance form. Katie and I will stay on if anyone needs help filling out either of those forms, or if you have any further questions for us. And then also you can find the evaluation link also on that, the next slide. It'll say evaluation link. You can click that as well. The attendance will only be found in the chat. So make sure you fill those out. And now you can begin planning and playing with those lessons. They really are fun. And that's all we have for you guys today. So once you're finished with both of those forms, the evaluation form and the attendance form, you are free to go. But like I said, we'll hang around. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.